Okay, so, okay, are we live? Okay, all right. Okay, it looks like we're live. Let me just double check everything. We have about 34 people watching and you should be good to go. All right.
Awesome.
Okay, how's it going? How's your day so far?
Everything is fantastic.
Everything is fantastic. Awesome. That's great. That's great. So, hey guys, my name is Sam. I'm the CEO of Roomvu. We have about 40 something thousand agents, like close to 50K agents on a platform. They're all excited to hear from our guest, Jess. And she's here with us. She has a ton of knowledge. She has been super, super successful creating that awareness about I learned something from you like way long ago, and that was the term omnipresence. So we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that soon. But yeah, so today we're just really talking about how to grow your business for realtors that are joining us, and kind of going like it's more a conversation, right? Just seeing what it is that Jess thinks it's driving sales and everything, and we can kind of go from there. All right. Do you mind introducing yourself a little bit, Jess, for us?
Yeah, 100%. So I'm Jess Lenouvel. I am the founder and CEO of a program called the Listings Lab. We help six-figure agents go to seven figures by creating relationships at scale online. And yeah, I was an agent myself for 14 years before.
14 years. Wow.
Yep. I mean, I'm older than I look. Let's hope, right? I sold real estate for 14 years. I built a multi seven-figure, very lean team. And then I transitioned out of selling and into training. And yeah, I've got a fantastic team. We're about 13 deep now. Okay. And I just moved to the Bahamas 3 weeks ago.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. So tell me about this. Like, why did you move from being an agent to being an educator in the community? What happened there?
I was probably, I guess I was in my early to mid 30s. I had a bit of an existential crisis. I had like a midlife crisis in my early 30s. And I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I got into real estate at 21 because my mom had been an agent for 20 years at that point.
Wow.
So I kind of grew up in the industry, and I really just wasn't sure what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. My favorite thing was when an agent would come and like knock on my office door and say, "Can you help me?" Those were always my most unproductive days in my business, because I loved it so much that I would sit with people and like really kind of like break things down and try to help them. And then, what I realized was there were so many agents that were struggling with the same things that we'd already figured out. So, my husband and I have worked together for at least 10 years. And I said to him, I think I'm finished. I think I'm done. I think, I don't want to sell real estate anymore. And I want to build some sort of, a North America wide company that's actually going to teach agents how to build the types of lives that people actually got into real estate for. Right. I think so many people are teaching agents how to be so unhappy. And it's just so painful to watch. I really think that most agents get into the business for, unlimited income, freedom of schedule, and being able to help people. And most agents end up being the bottleneck of their business from like a production standpoint. They end up at the beck and call and super reactive to their phone, and they never really take a day off. And they're not actually able to help as many people as they thought. So, I really wanted to create maybe a whole next generation of extremely happy, but also kind of freedom-based agents that, enjoy the business. Very few people, I think, wake up in the morning and think, I was born and put on this earth to sell real estate. Real estate's the vehicle. Right? We have these big dreams and these big things that we want to do with our lives, and real estate can help us get there. but very rarely do we want to live and breathe and not be able to do anything else.
Yeah, and I always say that that like us and the similarity here is that I was a top performing realtor. I was a top 1%er in Vancouver, and I decided to automate like how we produce content and how we find content, post it for people, and kind of go from there and do it for every agent. And it's I think there's two hard decisions that you have to make. The first one is, when do I stop selling real estate? Because it's so good that you're like, okay, what are we doing here? And then the second one is I think and that's the key part that I learned is we are, like, as agents, we are in this education business. We're not in the home selling business. Like, we are constantly educating our clients. We're constantly teaching them, look, you are like you and we are teaching them that what's happening in the market, what's happening in my community, like, and all these things that really add value. And so I think we can get to the next point, but I want to learn about this omnipresence thing we've been talking about. I love that term. I've been using it with reference, but I want to kind of dive deep into that. So you believe in omnipresence. You believe that agents should be everywhere. Their presence should be constant and across all platforms.
I don't necessarily think that it has to be across every platform. I just think that the frequency in which people, so the way that we look at things is that you want to be omnipresent, but also relevant. Because if you're omnipresent and you're not relevant, you're annoying. So the relevancy piece really comes before the omnipresence, but omnipresence is really like, you seem to be, or your audience's perception is that you're everywhere, right? So you're appearing in that person's life constantly. It's the idea of like really dominating someone's news feed. I mean, you go anywhere, walk outside your door, and people are glued to their phones. And it's the idea that you're in front of them as much as you possibly can. You're appearing at the right time. So it's not just all the time, it's at the right time. And it's really about having the correct frequency so that you're building that value, you're building that relationship in an automated way, but so that by the time that that person actually is ready to do something, that you're the only person that they can think of. You've built the top of mind awareness, you've built the trust.
That's great. And it's funny we talk about this, but like I get agents that come to us and they're like, I want to post 3 times a day. I'm like, why? Like, why would you want to post 3 times a day? What did your poor audience do? What did your poor audience do that they have to watch you 3 times a day?
And that's it's going to hurt your organic reach like crazy too.
Exactly, right? And or we get like agents that are like, I want to post 20 times a week. I'm like, no. Like, the golden number is there. Like, everyone talks about
quality.
Yes.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing, right? As I think that, you know, people get into this mindset that more is more, and it's not. It's really about quality, right? So let's say even when we're using omnipresence from an ad standpoint and we're pushing content into people's feeds, it's never going to be more than twice a day.
Yeah,
right. Exactly. And that's with ads, which are going to get, you know, less attention than like an organic, like something organically going out in front of your audience.
Yeah. And something else that we actually looked at about end of last year was, so we look at the number of posts that realtors have made in our platform, and we also look at like what is the golden number of seconds per video. So we looked at this, and something that was interesting is like realtors tend to like longer videos, like 2 minutes, but their audience is like, give me 30 seconds.
100%.
I don't need 5 minutes. Like, I don't need 2 minutes even.
The attention spans of the average adult they're shocking. You know, like, we're even starting to see trends of 7-second videos because people's attention spans are getting worse and worse. And if you can't get a point across that's high value or super entertaining in a very short amount of time, you know, I think that we're competing now on the wrong platforms. If people want to be watching if you want to be posting longer videos, and I mean like 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn are not your places anymore.
Yeah, I agree. And how do we better educate how do we better educate our audience to tell them, look, what is like as a realtor, how would you describe the perfect video? Like how would you frame it? Like if you wanted to go segment by segment, what is the perfect video in your opinion?
I don't think that there is such thing. I think that there's an element of trendiness, of creativity, and I think that different types of content have different purposes. So I think that having some authority-based educational type videos are really important. I think that having personal videos that share another side of you, that show people a little bit more of a behind the scenes of who you are as a person, I think that's really important. We talk so much in marketing about building this element of know, like, and trust. How is anyone ever supposed to know you, like you, or trust you if they know nothing about you? Right. And so there's the authority content, the personal content, and then you've got social proof, which are going to be things like before and afters, case studies, testimonials, like things like that. I think that the just listed, just sold stuff is old and it doesn't work anymore.
I 100% agree on that. I think it's the classic kind of mistake that we keep doing. Like 5 years ago, it was good. Like just listed, just sold. Yeah, I did this, but you have to
showing
have
people. It's the idea of showing people you have business, hopefully to get more business. There's too many agents, and markets are too saturated for that now. And it really becomes about positioning yourself as the best choice for someone. It's so much more important than just showing people that you've got a lot of business. And I think that if we're talking about organic social media, you really want to make sure that you're giving people different kinds of content. Not everybody is going to like or consume the same types of content. And using different elements of the platforms that we're talking about, and making sure that you're consistent with your messaging. Just because you created one post on a specific topic, if it's super important to you, keep talking about it.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right about this. I had a chat with one of the managing brokers for a Remax office in Toronto. He had about like 300 agents, and something interesting that he mentioned is that like he saw social media as this beautiful meal that you have to serve. And you have to have that glass of wine, you have to have the appies, and then you have to have the meal, and you have to have the finishing touches and the actual dessert, right? So most realtors, and to me, most realtors come close to just serving that glass of wine or that piece of chocolate. Like they never go the full kind of way. And even if they use platforms like ours to automate their marketing, I keep telling them, look, 20% of that is still you. Like you still have to garnish the food. You still have to add your personal touch. You still have to do things that are unique to you. Something that you told your client that helped them make money, or something that you told your client that helped them kind of move forward with this deal. What was the obstacles? Like there was something, this hiccup that came up. Like how did you fix it? Or what is this restaurant that you're always obsessed about? Talk about it. Like let other people know that you're into this thing, and it's an amazing thing, and that personal touch, I think, is missing from a lot of social medias. And just list and just sold, I don't think they do it. Like it's
they don't. And I think the other mistake that agents are making a lot is just the beautiful houses photos, right? Yeah. People aren't looking to your account for beautiful photos of kitchens. Right? If you're not seen as a resource, it's social media, right? Social networking. People want to be interacting with other humans. And so often if you go to a real estate feed on any platform, there's no human in it. Exactly. It's stock photos and pictures of kitchens and staircases and just listed, just sold content. And there's no person behind, like there's no brand and there's no person behind the brand. And I think that from a positioning standpoint, it comes down to how do you set yourself apart from your competition, right? What are you doing? How are you showing and showcasing what makes you special and presenting your own unique strengths, right? When you have those things, you can actually then build out real relevancy within your account, so that when the right person lands on it, that they think, oh, this is my person. Or 90% of real estate social media accounts don't have a location on them. Like, I'm talking like basics. How am I supposed to know if I want to work with you if I don't know if you're in Texas or Vancouver?
You got a great point there. Like, I think a lot of people make that rookie mistake, and they sometimes even post that picture, but they don't say where the property is. Like, okay, so is this in Texas?
Yeah.
Is this a good deal in Texas, or is this like a
yeah, 100%.
So I think that's another thing. So that's awesome. Let me so I guess now the next question I wanted to ask you is, so you said you help agents going from 6-figure to 7-figure.
Mm-hmm.
And what is a typical practice that a 6-figure agent does? And what is a typical practice that a 7-figure agent does? Like, can you walk us through that?
For the most part, a 6-figure agent in most markets is relying on repeats and referrals. Mm-hmm. They're working their sphere. Mm-hmm. And, I always say that what got you here won't get you there. If you really want to create a lot of scalability and exponential growth in your business, you have to be able to take someone from stranger to client in an automated way. And you have to be able to bring in as many people that are going to be relevant to your business as you want in order to feed your goals. And I think so often there's so many agents who don't know where their next deal is coming from because they don't have consistency and frequency built out in their marketing.
That's a great point. So how would you build that consistency? Like, can you elaborate a little bit? Like, what is the consistent way then
usually when we're talking about Omnipresence, we're talking about organic social media, but we're also talking about paid traffic. So once your messaging has been tested and has been vetted organically, and you have inbound business coming in, only then would I then say, now put some money behind it. I think a lot of agents do it the opposite way, where they're just like I said before, throwing a bunch of spaghetti at the wall and hoping something's going to stick. But
to this point, I've seen something funny that agents do. So obviously, if you post a picture of yourself with your family, like with your husband and so on, it gets a lot of likes.
Of course.
And it gets a lot of reach. But they make the mistake that because their friends like this, they start promoting this post. I'm like, don't do this. Like,
okay, I'm not a believer in boosting anything. Yeah. I think that Facebook is incredibly good at wasting your money. And if you're not running full campaigns, don't spend money.
Exactly. I think that's a great point. And I think that's a great point that a lot of agents miss. They think, okay, like I've this content, but there's so many things to that piece of content that you have to pay attention to. Like, the content has to be short. It has to be in a question mark format. So it triggers some kind of a curiosity and
or an emotional response.
Indeed, right? Yeah. And then it has to capture the information before of that person viewing it, before giving out the actual information that you were about to give. Otherwise, you're just giving the thing away, and obviously no one signs up, right? And then there is that element of follow-up. Like we generated 51,000 leads last year, and I ask agents, I'm like, so did you follow up with this lead? They're like, no. I'm like, why? Like, you spent so much money getting these leads. Like, get on the phone, talk with them.
That's one of the reasons why the Omnipresence concept of what we've built has been so successful for people, because it does the follow-up for them. And it does a lot of the converting from stranger to client, so that, a lot more or a higher percentage of that business is inbound. They're getting the magical come list me calls, because all the psychology has been done for them.
And we built a system of follow-ups for them as well. And I think these are all the things that you have to try out before just saying, okay, I got a lead and I would just hope they will call me. That's not happening. You got to do something about these leads, and you got to do the constant follow-ups. So let's talk about relevancy and the compound effect. I think these are two great concepts that I want to kind of talk talk about and explore. So let's talk about relevancy first. So relevancy of content. How would you know what content is relevant to you as a realtor? And
So
what content is not?
it's not about content or marketing being relevant to the realtor. It's about being really clear on who you're trying to attract. So, relevancy is really, any really good marketing has the element of relevancy as like it's their target demographic, right? So when I talk about relevancy, it's your marketing messaging, right? So it's having the right message to the right person, and it comes down to niching down. Right. So I think traditionally what's happened so often is agents have gotten really, so let's kind of take let's say we're in 1985, right? The only way to be consistent and frequent is to choose a physical location, because you have to flyer, you have to door knock, and you have to call those people. It's the only way. We don't have the internet especially we don't have social media platforms in 1985. Right. Now we live in a completely different world. We have the internet, we have social media platforms, we have ad targeting, and we're able to actually broaden out from just the I'm going to own a zip code, or I'm going to own a postal code, to I'm going to niche down my messaging to a demographic of people, because people make decisions emotionally before they make them logically. So
Indeed.
we tend to teach niching down in terms of human: upsizers, downsizers, first-time buyers, dog owners living in condos, the LGBT community, people who have common shared experiences and pain points.
So from the day I started in real estate, I heard this thing that you have to do niche marketing, but I think we keep saying it, but we don't know how.
People don't know what it means.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I remember keep hearing you gotta do your niche marketing, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of people buying condos and there's not much of a niche in it. But I guess there is that, and I think part of that comes with that whole social media profiling of who you are and how you're
and who you want
yourself.
to attract.
Exactly, right? Who are you attracting first-time home buyers? Are you attracting better than that? Are you attracting your type of people? Are you an engineer and you're trying to attract other engineers that think like you, like data and so on? Or are you a techie? I've seen this in San Francisco a lot. There's a lot of techie realtors that want to work with techie people, and it's amazing, because they talk the same.
It's matching your services and your strengths with the people that you're working with, for sure.
Yeah, exactly, right. And you see this dynamic working great. And I think that and it's an exercise, right? You have to sit down, think about what it is that defines me as the agent, and what is unique about me.
Well, I also think that there's an element of market research interviewing that agents are very lazy about. And I use this example, it's a bit silly, but a lot of the time what agents will do when they're creating their marketing is it's like they're sitting across the street from someone named Mary, and Mary's sitting on the park bench, 15 feet away. And they're thinking, what does Mary want for lunch? I bet Mary wants pizza. I'm going to order Mary pizza. Instead of just walking across the street and saying, Mary, what do you want for lunch? And then Mary says, I want sushi. Right? It's the same thing with your marketing. If you just interview and you talk to your clients and you talk to the niche that you want to be specializing in, they're going to give you all the answers to everything you need to put in your marketing. It's just that agents just don't go out and have the conversations and don't have the market research conversations.
I agree. That's 100% true. And what is I want to talk about two things before we wrap up. Let's talk about compounding effect. How would you see the compounding effect of everything that you're doing as an agent? So let's say I did something in 2020. How would I see that result this year? And if I did something today, how would I see that result in 5 years?
Yeah. So when we're talking about everything coming together and everything compounding, it really, it can happen really quickly. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like a 5-year plan. We've seen agents go from, 100,000 to 7 figures in 8 months. It can happen really quickly. It just comes down to consistency, frequency, and making sure that each piece that you're putting out there is constantly being refined. It's not just like a set it and forget it thing, right? Constantly refining your messaging, constantly making sure that your service package is exactly what these people need, and treating your business like a real business. Now, when we're real, like exponential growth is possible in any market, in any industry, it doesn't matter. It's just really about, do you have enough new people coming in to feed the goal?
That's exactly right. And if you wanted to give two pieces of advice, just two, for the year 2022, to the realtors that are watching this video, what would it be? How would you put that two pieces of advice? Just two.
So the first one, and I use this one a lot, is that results don't take time, they take courage. So if you're not willing to take risks and put yourself out there and try new things and be on the cutting edge, you're always going to lag behind and you're never going to see the results that maybe someone else will get. And the second thing that I would say is, your personal money is not your business money. So if you don't have your accounts separated and you're not paying yourself as the owner of the business, whereas your business has its own accounts, if you're treating all of your commissions like personal money, you're not running a real business, and you'll never be able to make decisions like a real business would.
Oh, that's an excellent advice. Like I think I've been guilty of this in the early days of my business too. Like you see this money and you're like, oh, this is
That's
good.
all
I'm gonna buy a new car. No. You're not doing that. You have to reinvest in the business. And I've seen this a lot that they just make the money and they're like, okay, let's see if I can find the next deal. Well, you have to spend that money. You have to re-spend that money.
Even if it's just 50% in the beginning, right? And then over time, it should be far more than that, right? You should be reinvesting and keeping money in your business so that the business can make decisions, that it's not like, oh, I'm investing in my business, but I'm taking food out of my kids' mouths. They need to be separated. Otherwise, every single business decision will have too much emotion behind it.
That's a great advice. So think of let's put on the golden ratio then. 50% the first year, hopefully, and then as the years go by, do at least 60 to 70% of your income. Spend it again on as generation, on inbound.
Well, and it depends on how much you want to grow, right?
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things that you can use to grow your business: time, energy, and money. Now, time and energy are going to be your slowest two ways to grow your business, right? So if you want exponential growth, it is going to require reinvestment of money back into the business.
I think that's a great advice. Thank you so much, Jess. I know you're super busy. You had a day packed full of webinars today. So I would love to have you back sometime in the summer. I think we should keep talking about these topics. It was really helpful. At least I learned a lot. So I hope the agents watching this learned a lot as well. So for those watching, this is going to be on our YouTube channel as well, and you can kind of come back to it and watch the recorded version. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.